hip hop, culturally significant, globally recognized. You got to celebrate it. And here to talk more about that is my main man, CJ Williams, general manager, host, and brand ambassador of the Trap Museum in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother, welcome to Scoop B Talks.
Appreciate you, brother. How you feeling, man?
Maintain it, man. How you feeling?
Fantastic. Can't complain.
I love it. Nobody wants to hear all that noise anyway.
It's a fact.
But the noise that I do want to hear is this, man. Your role with the Trap Museum in Atlanta is pretty vast. Why is the Trap Museum so much of a coming attraction in Atlanta?
Okay, that's a fantastic question. First, thank you. Well, the Trap Music Museum came about in 2018. It was around the time of All-Star Weekend. Also commemorating the 15th year anniversary of the release of T.I.'s groundbreaking album, Trap Music, which is hailed as being the album that brought the term trap music to the ears of the masses. It began as a little pop-up and just to celebrate that album. And 5 years later, we're still here. It really has become a significant part of Atlanta, a significant and historic site, even though we've only been in existence for 5 years, because there's a certain mindset that went into creating it. So this might be a little long-winded, but I'm going to try to give it to you in the most succinct way. The Trap Music Museum was created as an interactive museum that details and chronicles the trials, triumphs, and tribulations of the various artists that are placed on the wall and kind of immortalized within the art. It's significant because this whole museum really tells a story. And on our door before you walk in, it says, what you're about to see is not a glorification, but a depiction of reality. So this museum is really telling a story of how many of these artists, T.I., Gucci Mane, Jeezy, Young Thug, Future, they all started out having and finding it necessary to combat against what their neighborhood, what the street, and what the community was offering them. So the music has been the savior of all of these guys. One really significant story I want to tell is that before Lil Baby found, his amazing star, Young Thug was responsible for paying Lil Baby what he was making on the street, doing street work, in order to send him to the studio instead. So Young Thug paid Lil Baby the amount of money that he would make trapping and instead focus on honing his musical craft. So to me, that story is what it represents. Going from having to be on the corner, having to be an entrepreneur of pharmaceutical endeavors, having to, find different ways of hustling and striving and trapping to find your success. And the music was the vehicle. So the beautiful art that we have on these walls, hopefully y'all make y'all way over to 630 Travis Street, Northwest Atlanta, Georgia, to come and see this amazing art. But the trap music is here. We're here to stay and continue to give a voice to trap music culture, the artists, and amazing things that this music has done for our culture and for the world.
Yeah, man, it definitely has. I'm thankful I got the tour while you were busy back in the spring, and really learned the significance and honored it, the struggle, the grind, the grit. Certain things that stood out to me when I visited, aside from the assortment of drinks at the bar that are named after certain things, I think the thing that stood out to me was looking at the kitchen and seeing seeing the double door fridge, seeing the Newport cigarettes sitting on the side, like all those significant things. Even seeing the jail cell, if I'm not mistaken, that was the jail cell that T.I. sat in.
So it's not representative of T.I.'s jail cell. Okay. It's representative of a jail cell that many of the artists had to sit in. Sure. If we want to go Jeezy, Meek Mill, Future, Takeoff, Offset, 21 Savage, all of them have had that place where they found themselves confined within those bars and had to make a decision. Mm-hmm. Do I continue to do the same thing that has ended me up in here, or do I come to the revelation and understanding that this music is the vehicle to change not only my life, but my family's lives. And
Hmm.
so the lives of these people were tremendously changed in the trajectory of where they were headed based on that beat of the 808 or that tap of the hi-hat and being able to express cadences and melodies over these beats has, made life a totally different shade for them. So, sometimes you got to sit down for a few minutes and figure out what's your next plan of action.
Yeah, for sure. Now tell me, the general perception I feel, particularly as you and I as both East Coasters, the perception of many is that Atlanta artists stick together, and you saw really that realm of Atlanta running things, or at least the South running things, post Jay-Z Black album. But even in the '90s, when you saw certain groups in the R&B realm in Atlanta really making it happen. Two-part question. One, as an East Coaster yourself, did you find that perception of Atlanta sticking together being true? And the second part of that question is, what is the perception of East Coast and West Coast rappers when they visit the Trap Music Museum? What do they get from that when you give them the tour, where they're just looking around?
Okay, first, so of course, New Jersey native, Brooklyn native. I grew up in both places. Grew up on Myrtle Ave, right next to Marcy Projects, where Jay-Z grew up. He's been my favorite rapper ever since I can remember being able to listen to rap without worrying about if my parents was hearing it. So for me, this is really when I came here to Morehouse College, that was the first time as a young man that, you find yourself able to explore different tastes that you have, whether they be musical, artistic, the type of women that you find attractive. There are all these different, experiences that are at your fingertips. And for me, my first introduction to trap music as we would have it was through T.I. And I can remember vividly being at a barbershop downtown. I was getting ready to get my haircut and I heard this music blaring outside. And I said to the person in the barbershop, I'm like, yo, that sound like a down south Jay-Z. And I was like, yo, they was like, that's T.I. And I'm like, oh. So for me, regardless of how people feel about that comparison, as a New York, New Jersey kid, for me, it made it tangible to hear what he was doing lyrically and in terms of music and equate that to that feeling of being home. So when I got to Atlanta, T.I.'s music helped me feel welcome and helped me feel like a part of back home was being, brought to Atlanta with me. Definitely with that, we see various people from all over the world here. Just a quick plug, we made National Geographic's top places to visit. We made number 6 on their list to visit in Atlanta. So I find great pride and joy in us being one of those places that people sometimes come here specifically to see, regardless of wherever they're from. Switzerland, Iran, Iraq, London, France, Nigeria, Mecca, wherever they are from, they find themselves enamored and taken in by the art. Now, to your question specifically regarding East Coast, West Coast rappers and down South rap, for the most part, this museum is dedicated to Atlanta's trailblazers and Southern music, but there is an exhibit dedicated to Nipsey Hussle. Unfortunately, the museum was not in operation while Nipsey was here, but we do really have an amazing moment where Snoop Dogg was able to come in and help to christen Nipsey's exhibit. But for me, what I see is that it garners this environment where no matter if you're from the East Coast or the West Coast, when you come here, you have to leave with respect for these artists. Right now, we have an exhibit in our OG room that is dedicated to Atlanta as a region and all the artists that have helped to take Atlanta's music to the world. I would suggest that you come and see it as soon as you can, because we will be changing it out soon to commemorate and celebrate one of the great regions of hip hop. Case in point, Houston, Louisiana, Miami. Those are some of the places that we're going to be focusing on. But what I would like to say is that the Trap Music Museum in Atlanta, as a place and as this really breeding ground for amazing artists, fosters a really amazing spirit of camaraderie and brotherhood. Really, when you do come here, if you're about what you say you're about and you're talented and you're willing to connect, there are people here to support and get behind you. So really, Atlanta artists do stick together, but they also welcome people that recognize the contribution that Atlanta music and Atlanta artists have made to not only hip hop music, but music as a whole.
I like that. I like that. CJ Williams joining us at Scoop B Talks. General manager, host, brand ambassador. I've looked across your Instagram. You should follow him. It's a good follow. But I've noticed that you do some sort of hosting session with visitors of the Trap Music Museum. What are some memorable moments that you've shared with the talent that has come through?
Oh man, what I could do a whole show about this, but there's a few that I want to point out. First, it's going to be when I gave Drummer Boy Freshest tour. Now, if we don't know who Drummer Boy is, since forever, he has been crafting music for all of your favorite artists, including Yo Gotti, Jeezy, Jay-Z, Kanye West, Drake, Lil Wayne, the list goes on. He actually came here and I was able to do a tour with Drummer Boy. And then a couple weeks later, he called me personally and invited me to preview a project that he has yet to release. But it was literally me and him sitting in front of all of his equipment and playing each song for me. So that's one of my most favorite stories. Mm-hmm. If I could go for another one, let's see, do I want to talk about somebody musical? Okay, I will. So if we're talking about legends of Atlanta, I have been privileged to meet a few members of the Dungeon Family Outcast conglomerate, namely Big Gip from Goody Mob, Sleepy Brown, and the last one that I want to mention is CeeLo Green. I was able to tour CeeLo and walk him through and just kind of get that one-on-one time with him, and someone who has been so instrumental and so influential across genres. So really having this hip hop foundation, but finding his way into pop and all these other different genres through his music, being so creative and so groundbreaking. Just being able to share and discuss the various elements of the art in detail and even hear about his appreciation for art was amazing. So for me, those are two of my most fond moments that I've had here in the museum. If we want to talk about all of them, we might have to do a whole nother show because, as you said, on my Instagram, Blue in the Trap, because my nickname is Blue. You could tell by it. That's my color right there.
That's why I wore blue. That's why I wore blue today.
I just noticed that, bro. You're a real one. I appreciate you, Scoop, for that, for sure. So those are just two of my stories, man. But being here has connected me with a lot of great people, a lot of great artists, a lot of great musicians, people in the community from abroad that understand that, you know, we as Black people, our culture, our music, our fashion, the way that we talk, the way that we dress, the way that we dribble that ball on the court, the way that we run it down the field, the way that we knock it out of the park, the way that we jump over the hurdle, the way that we swim across the pool, nobody could do it like we do. So Atlanta's Trap Music Museum is one of those places where, you know, it's a beacon of that culture. And if you ain't been, you better make sure you find your way down to the A.
You heard it first. CJ, you are a wealth of knowledge in your roles, your trio of roles within the Trap Music Museum. When you're at the ATL, you're not just going to Trap Brunch. You're not just checking out Hawks games. You're not just going to Falcons games and whatever else, whether it's the strip club or more. You make sure you soak in some culture. Slutty Vegan as well. I'm giving all the shameless plugs to everybody else. Make sure
For sure.
you all check out the Trap Music Museum. Check out CJ and tell him Scoopy sent you.
For sure. Hey man, Scoop, you doing your thing, baby. Much love to you. Keep inspiring. Of course, everybody that's watching you know you've been doing this since you were younger. So you were OG, you a vet. You continue to trailblaze and continue to bring that spirit and that expertise and that energy to the field. So I just gotta say kudos and salute to you, brother. Keep doing your thing. It's only one scoop, if you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Shout out to 805. Those who know, they know.
Tenderloins, baby, all day.
All day.